Courtney from Dandelion Branding. Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the different types of audiences when you have a natural wellness brand. And we're going to be working to understand the market and to help you to better understand the variations in your audience so that you can better communicate to them. And there are generally several different categories of customers for natural wellness brands, and it's really important for you as a business owner to understand those distinctions. And so that's what we are hoping to do in today's video. One thing to note just right off the bat is that if you are choosing to build a business within this industry, just know that educating your audience is going to be of the utmost importance. It's going to be what can truly set you apart. And really, in order to teach effectively, you need to know who you're talking to. So that's our goal for today. So the natural wellness industry is growing rapidly, but it is still somewhat going against the grain, at least here in the States. And this is why educating your audience is so important. You really might be swimming upstream against a lot of other information that's out there. So no matter what type of audience you may have, it's going to be important that you are working to be very honest and transparent, clear, and approachable with how you're educating your audience. These things are really going to be incredibly important for you as a brand in order to communicate effectively, and to be able to compete against the more kind of mainstream information that's out there. So just know that before you get started, it is definitely going to be something that you're going to need to infuse into your brand, is the type of educational content that you're creating and putting out there. And I encourage you to go check out our blog article that Aubrey wrote. I'll link it down below. It's going to be a nice pairing to go along with this video. We will jump into the different types of audiences now. Stay tuned. Okay. So the first audience type is what I'm going to call the practical do-gooder. And this is probably going to be the largest potential audience of the three that I'm going to cover today. And that's because this is someone who is choosing to buy a wellness product, not necessarily because of any sort of deep-rooted belief, but because they've perhaps just heard about its effectiveness and they're probably going to be more new to this world of understanding natural wellness. So they are an audience that is going to really resonate with reassurance and understanding that your product is effective, and that validation is going to really make them feel good in their purchasing decision. They want to know that they're making a good choice that is not only effective, but is something that is also perhaps making a positive impact. This audience, they don't necessarily care for that in-depth scientific information in order to make a purchasing decision, nor do they need this more kind of energetic language to help them choose to purchase either. They're sort of right in the middle. And so things that could work with this particular audience type, if you did want to communicate them and include them in your brand, I think would be some facts, some really short facts that are not too in-depth, but something that's really still digestible and understandable to the layman out there. Life hacks, things that are really practical and tangible. They are going to work best with this particular audience type. So you can sort of be right in the middle. And it's nice because no matter what type of brand you may want to create, if it is sort of a more scientific or sort of more esoteric, um, you can choose to include this particular audience really either way, just by adding in a little bit more practical information that can speak to the everyday person. They don't really need the emotional content. Um, it's not really an emotional buyer, it's a very practical buyer. So, really having concrete information about what it is that your product may do, how it's effective, and why it's better than your competition. Really, those main facts are what's going to work best for this particular audience. The next audience type is what I'm going to call the Witchy Woo. And this audience type is certainly the more emotional buyer. It's not necessarily women, it definitely crosses gender lines, of course, but it is an audience that does not necessarily need hard scientific evidence in order to feel connected to a brand and a product. They are definitely more energetic about, you can definitely communicate about energy work, vibrations, sort of some of that more esoteric language and imagery can be really effective for this particular audience type. These witchy woo customers will really resonate with that esoteric language and understanding what it is that you're putting into your products. Why are they of higher quality, of higher standards than competition? And making some subtle changes to your language just to infuse a little bit more emotion behind your product and how you're communicating can be really effective for this particular audience type. And our third audience type is the researcher. And sort of on the polar opposite side of the witchy woo is where this researcher sits. And they are going to be more driven to make purchases when there is hard scientific evidence behind what it is that you're selling. And this can be hard to communicate with a natural wellness brand. We know that there are a lot of regulations with the FDA and what you can say and what you can't say. But you can certainly communicate about the type of product that you are making in various ways that can still get across the effectiveness and the hard proof for why these products work and what it is that they're doing on a kind of on a scientific level, cellular, molecular, whatever it may be that you're selling. You will want to have that concrete evidence. And this is a buyer who's going to do research, right? So creating a lot of content, having pillar pages of related content so they can really dive in and click around and learn more about the work that you're doing is going to be really effective for this group. They are going to want to dive in. So if you are not putting out content that they can consume, they're going to choose a different option because they need to know why this works the way that you say it works. They are not just going to believe you at face value. They are not going to believe the more kind of esoteric language of emotional, vibrational. That's not going to be effective with this particular audience type. So definitely infusing, facts in your content, scientific studies, anything that's maybe even just related to what it is that you're selling that you can provide scientific evidence on would be beneficial. This is a little bit more of a drier type of audience. They aren't as emotional and really just want you to get straight to the facts. So if that is the type of brand that you are working to create, then definitely be conscious of the way that you're communicating, the way that you're writing your articles, your post captions, and things, you'll still certainly want to be very clear and approachable, but you want to know your stuff. They want to feel confident that you're confident in what you're selling. And so that's going to be incredibly important in order for this particular audience type to really resonate with you as a brand. So that's just something to be conscious of when you are choosing how you want to communicate as a brand. And I could go and really kind of break these down into a number of smaller groups, but these are sort of the main three categories for how you would alter the way that you communicate to better relate to these types of people. And this is certainly a general list. So I know that not everyone fits into these boxes, but when you're building a brand, you really need to have a concept for who it is that you're communicating to. So that is really the goal behind making these different audience types, so that you have an idea of what their life is like. What do they need to know about you and your brand in order to feel trusting of you, to trust your product, and to ultimately choose to make a purchase. And these subtle distinctions in how you are communicating are really what can make a big difference in how they relate to you. So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, if you are starting up your own natural wellness brand and aren't quite sure who would be best to speak to for your products, then feel free to contact us, info@Dandelion Branding. We are always available. So yeah, we're happy to help. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. We would love to have ya, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.